Good evening, everybody. I'm going to get going very shortly. Just trying to set up my screen properly. Just bear with me. We'll get going very shortly. Okay, we're going to get going in a moment. If you're on YouTube, if you've dropped onto our live stream, you're more than welcome to register for the webinar. I'll put the link in the chat so that you can ask me questions. I can't see the chat on YouTube live stream, so if you're asking questions, I won't see your questions coming in. So just register using the link in the chat and you're more than welcome to join us. All right, we're going to get going in a minute. I'm just waiting for a few more people to come into the room. So thank you for your patience. All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. Tonight, we're going to go through a live Forex market review. We'll have a look at the Forex market, see what's going on, and I'll discuss some levels that I'm watching. Before we do that, just please read through this disclaimer, a bit of housekeeping as well. Any questions, put them in the question and answer box for me. I've got the chat box open too. Now, I'm going to be talking about trading levels tonight. I might be talking about some patterns, maybe looking at some possible price reversals, of course. I'm just sharing with you some analysis. If you're wanting to trade that analysis, that's your decision. So I'm not taking into consideration your specific financial considerations. So that's what the risk disclaimer there is for. All right, let's move along. Now, if you don't know me, I'm just looking on who's there. Maybe one or two there that I haven't seen before, so welcome. My name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities. And I'm a full-time trader. Been trading for more than 15 years in the Forex market and had the opportunity of mentoring clients for more than 10 years. If you want to contact me, my email's on screen there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. As well, through the week, you can connect with my content on the acy.com website. Go to the market news tab on our YouTube channel, ACY Securities Australia. And you can connect with me personally if you want to on Twitter and LinkedIn using those handles. As well, through the week, you can connect with me in our Telegram channel. If you want to get access to that, contact Nathan Bray at acy.com. His email is nathan.bray@acy.com. And I'm providing analysis based around the webinars that I do, the educational content, looking at support and resistance trend, and levels that I'm watching to trade around during the course of the week. So if you want to get access to that, or you want to get access to my charts, you can see my charts in this little screen area here. Just contact Nathan, he will set that up for you. I'll put his details in the chat momentarily, and then we'll get to the charts. So I'll just get that into the chat for everybody. All right, that's in the chat. All right, got a few more people coming in. All right, so before we get to the charts, I just want to look at forexfactory.com. Market's very volatile over the last day based around the news coming out. So today we do have the US PPI data coming out at 10:30 p.m. when we had the release of last night's, just trying to get to last night. If I can get it to show me, last night was the 13th. We had the CPI data come out last night, which was better than expected. So inflation's still rampant in the US. So we're seeing more US dollar strength today, especially on the dollar yen. So coming up later in the evening, we've got the US PPI coming out. Okay. And notably tomorrow on the noon, you can go and check this page, but tomorrow noon we got the Chinese data that could affect the Aussie crosses, and further US data at 10:30 p.m. tomorrow with the retail sales. So that's what's on coming out that could affect currency pairs. Let's get to the charts now. It's been quite active 3 days in session, especially on the yen pairs. So I just want to click through, see what's going on. So, and see which ones might be the better ones to talk about imminently. I might just talk about the Aussie yen first of all. So what I'm going to do is just go to my daily chart, and it's rather consolidatory. We've been having lower tops and then higher bottoms, and we have moved through a top today. But what we have done is move back into this resistance area that's been holding price for 2 or 3 weeks, if not 4 weeks. So is price simply moving up into that resistance area once more to hold, to move back down? So I've got daily resistance from over here, 94.02, and weekly resistance up here at 94.31. And we're already pulling back away from the area. So if you've been watching my analysis over the last few weeks, I've talked about the area countless times. Hopefully 1 or 2 of you are on top of that area today. Now, what I'm seeing is that we have moved into that area. Well, obviously got the figure there too, and we've sold off from that level. Now we might come up for a retest today, and that might offer you then an opportunity to trade down. Okay, we've already done today's projected range. So price has gotten stretched in that area. We could see a move back down from this area now. We've got a trend line break, MACD cross. It would be nice to get short, tight, close to 94. So if price could come up there, that would be an exceptionally good area to look for an opportunity to trade down. And then really this pair, I said this on the weekend when I did my weekend analysis, this pair is just trading between approximately 94. And I said that price may trade down from 94. We didn't quite trade down from 94 in the early in the week, but I said it might trade down to 91.95, this day support level. And it traded right down to that pip level. And now we trade all the way back up to that resistance level. Are we now going to trade all the way back down to the 92 approximate area? Are we just going to stay in that range? Of course, we could move up and through. Dollar yen is exceptionally strong today. So these yen pairs may start to move up and through their resistance levels. Time will tell. But you can see that this pair is clearly respecting that area once it's hit it. So, you know, it might react from 94 if it retouches. May only pull back, you know, 40, 50 pips before blowing straight through, but that might give you an opportunity to trade. And of course, it could just simply move straight back down the range. So it's at a nice level of resistance where it is reacting at. So you just need to make a decision of how you might want to trade that down if you want to. It might not give a retest now of 94. It's already been there. I can see on the 15-minute candles that we moved back below here and then have come back up for a little 15-minute intra candle trading retest there. So it might not go up for another retest. So you just have to work out what you want to do if you want to trade that pair. Do you wait for a retest? Do you simply trade whatever strategy you're trading down from that level? All right, so it's showing some weakness there. Just want to click through some of the other pairs, see what's going on. The euro yen, it's been moving up. In the Telegram, I posted and was looking for a break back below 138. And I did say in my video that the central pivot point and the figure could be support for a move up, but I was looking more trying to trade down in line with the day chart trend. And that didn't transpire. Never gave me an opportunity to trade. It's just traded up in line with the dollar yen strength we've been seeing today. But it is at a good level of resistance. And I want to go to my other charts to show you. As I'm talking, it's moving down. So on the day chart, there's a level of resistance here at 139.38 that we're popping up into. And we've got weekly resistance here at 139.99. Now we haven't got to that level, but we're moving into a resistance area and we're pulling back down from it. So structurally, this has actually popped a little bit into an uptrend on the day chart. This color box here is the range of last week. So we had a hefty sell-off last week. So obviously price actually is just trying to reclaim some of that loss from last week. And if I move it to the 4-hour chart, what I've also noticed is we've had an upward move there, a pull back here, and then of course we broke above that top and moved up. So we've come into a little 4-hour level of resistance here, 139.78, which we just touched, and this fib across here, pulling back to that 79% area, moving up and through, has come to the 127 extension. So it's overstretched into a resistance area and it's pulling back. So we're at 139.23. So to the 15-minute. 139.38 is that, have we false broke that level? Are we moving back below it? Will 139.38 become resistance at this topping area? I know this has moved up very strongly in line with the dollar-yen strength. So back to my 4-hour. We've moved above this top today. That was the high at the start of the week, 139.16. We don't need a trade today, but what we might want to look for is what does price do for the rest of the day in that area. If we start to see continued weakness in that area today, and we finish with it with a much more of a rejection candle on the day chart today, and we start to want to be below the earlier high of the week here at 139.16, then into tomorrow, you know, if we start to want to fail at around about the 139.00 level, then that could well mean that we're going to, you know, get a move back down into the lower area of the week. All right, so it is strong at the moment. All these yen pairs have been moving up, so you might be thinking, I'm selling a top here. So you could wait for a bit more of a story to unfold. You know, do we start to get back below 139? Does 139 become resistance tomorrow? All right, we're not going to trade today, but of course, if you're wanting to trade today, this is having a heavy sell-off at the moment. We're in the red zone of the pivot points. 139.38 may become an area to test later. You know, we might come down. We may well come back up to 139.38 that we're false breaking at the moment. That level could then be resistance, solid resistance, for then a trade down. Getting into tomorrow, I'd be watching, you know, where's price? When I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to be asking myself, where's price in relation to 139? Have we already moved back below that level? Does it want to be resistance tomorrow? Of course, we could be seeing a completely new uptrend forming, but so I want to go back to my 4-hour chart. This is the range of last week. I'm going to go through this in a webinar next Wednesday. And all this might be doing is just reclaiming some of the losses of last week before it wants to move further down. All right, we had a heavy sell-off last week. Is this just reclaiming some of that loss before further selling off? All right, so I'm just monitoring the area at the moment for failure. I've got my 62% level of the last week's candle range up here at 140.26. I've got a weekly resistance here at 139.99, so almost the 140 level. It'd be great if it came up and popped up to 140 and failed, a weekly resistance, but I don't know if price is going to do that. So just watching the area for further failure. You know, if we are back below 139 tomorrow, I'm going to look at 139 for failure to trade down tomorrow. So at the moment, I'm just monitoring that pair, but it is starting to react up there, like I was showing you on the Aussie yen. That's reacting at the top of its day. Got something in the chat, Slav. So you're asking me why is such an unexpected weakness to the yen? I don't know really, other than the fact that the dollar yen is the dollar's getting stronger because of the inflationary figures that came out yesterday. So the dollar yen is going up very, very, very strongly. So there's that correlation factor. The yen's getting weaker. So the yen's been getting weaker on those pairs. So we've got a bit of a tug of war because the pairs as we get to the pairs to the US dollar, they haven't been doing too much today. So that's why then the Aussie yen, the Aussie dollar hasn't done much today, but the Aussie yen's gone up because the Aussie hasn't really appreciated or depreciated much, but the yen's weakening. So the Aussie yen's moved up to its resistance level. All right, so let's go just have a look at the dollar yen. But I've got to my other charts to do that, to the dollar yen. So on the day chart, in fact, let's get rid of that fib. It's hiding everything. The fib I had on the other day that I was discussing. All right, so the monthly, let's just see what it's doing. It's heading towards the next level at the moment, which is at 141.53 from over here. Now, I might not get there, but of course, we're having a surge up there at the moment. Everything's just strong dollar to the yen. Weekly trend you're going to see is, we covered this the other day. Just uptrend, and the day charts and uptrends. And, we're considerably up here at the moment. Very difficult to be buying all the way up here. We need some kind of pullback. I discussed a pullback on Tuesday, and I was looking at this fib range to pull back to this level of day support at 136.36. It didn't quite get there. It missed it by a few pips, but you can see the effect I was trying to get there. Moved up, pulls back, and we're at the 162 extension of the next upward move. So this is very much overstretched. So I wouldn't want to buy a pair that's so overly stretched on the 4-hour chart at the 162 extension. I'd be waiting for the next pullback. So the next pullback, I'd just be doing the same as I showed you last Tuesday. If this keeps moving up, I'll keep moving my fib up until I then get a pullback to the 62 or the 79% level. Look at those levels to see where the price can hold and turn around. All right, so we're seeing very strong dollar yen at the moment. We're also seeing very strong dollar. So let's have a look at the dollar index. You can see we're moving above 108.09, which is a monthly resistance level. And the next monthly resistance level is at 109.24. So we're just in this clear uptrend, moving beyond one monthly resistance level. If we go to the monthly, squash it in so you can see where it is. We're moving above that old low, heading up towards the next top after breaking above this double top. So a very strong US dollar, well, especially on the dollar yen. Not so much on some of the other pairs at the moment, but things might waken up on those pairs today or after the news that comes out at 10:30. All right, so strong dollar, especially on the dollar yen. We're seeing some yen weakness. That's the theme of the day. And on the S&P 500, we're starting to move below this weekly level of support that we're above, putting in a lower top. We break below these lows. This is just back into a very confirmed day chart downtrend in line with the weekly downtrend. So we're seeing strong dollar. Stock market starting to want to move back down because the share traders are fully expecting further interest rates to cull this inflation, which is obviously bad for business because they have to spend more for their borrowing costs. So that should affect stock prices. So that's what we're generally seeing: dollar strength, weakness in the stock market. That should translate to pairs to the US dollar being weaker, and pairs that are quoted US dollar to a currency stronger. All right, so I've covered the Aussie yen. We're holding at that resistance level. The Aussie's been a bit quiet. Did post in our Telegram today that I was looking at this 67.61 level to hold as resistance. We have bobbed above it. I was looking for it to maybe hold more precisely, and then could I trade against it to trade down, but it never really eventuated. It's a bit consolidatory. Day chart look, there's no question where the trend is. It's lower tops and bottoms. We're breaking below last week's low. We closed below last week's low. And we're just testing and can't really get past at the moment a level of monthly support. There's 2 monthly levels of support. I've got my chart. If you go to your monthly chart, there's a couple of lows to the left here. There's one at 67.22 and there's one at 66.71. Clear monthly downtrend, clear weekly downtrend, and a bit more consolidatory on the day chart. We're not wanting to break through the monthly level of support at the moment, but we are wanting to hold now below last week's low. So it may be just a matter of time before we can, get down below there, but it's not the easiest pair at the moment. So the market is wanting to, back to my 15, it is wanting to close below 67.61, last week's low, and it is below, but it's a little bit above and below. So it would be nice if it just came up to 67.61 and held and gave you a nice tight trend line break, for example, to trade down for a possible break below 67.22. But, it's not wanting to spend too much time above that level now, but it's not wanting to entertain a break of 67.22. So it's a bit consolidatory and choppy. So I'd like to see better price action there. Look at the price action yesterday in the news from the US. Drops down, goes all the way back up, fails at the same level, 68, and then comes back. So, if the news spikes this back up today, later in the day, watch 68 for sure as a resistance level to look to trade down from, because it held there yesterday. Where it is right now, it's just in the middle of those 2 levels of support and resistance. So it's not really great to trade right now. All right, covered the euro yen. That's what I wanted to see what it was still doing. Euro dollar, it's a little bit choppy. I did put a video out with one of my colleagues yesterday looking at the USCPI data coming out, and I said watch for the 101.18 level. Where did we go up to last night after the news? The 101.18 level. So that level is on the monthly chart. Squash in, go back in time. It's a level that we've broken below this week. That old top that back there, back in time, back near the 2001 year. We've broken below that level. It's become resistance intra-week this week. All right. So there's no question where the trend is. Monthly trend's down there. Your weekly trend is down. All right. And the day trend is down. Currently, though, when I'm on my 50-minute chart here, price action is a bit choppy. If you had the forethought up here to try and trade down from 101.18 or a failure of 101.100, you'd be okay. Right now, where it is, there's nothing there to set up and trade. What is happening? Go to a 4-hour chart. We're just forming a bit of area of support here at the moment. There is a bit of divergence on the indicator, but we're just sitting on top of the parity number, the one euro is worth $1 number at the moment. The market's not prepared to move below there at the moment. Doesn't mean to say that it's not going to, because it pretty much failed up at 101.100. So it's trading between 101.100 and holding at 1.0000. So is it a question of time that the market will move through that level? I can see on this 4-hour chart a little bit of area of resistance here. So I'm just going to put that in, because price could pop up today. Might not pop up as high as it did yesterday. So that's at 10074. So that could start to become an area of resistance that the market might want to respect if we pop up later in the day. I'm loath to be a buyer down here at the $1 level, because the trend's down. Of course, the market is buying down there and holding it there at the moment, but trend is down. I don't know if I really want to buck the trend. You've seen the dollar index is screaming north. Do we really want to buck the trend down there? Now, of course, if you want to, go for your life. I'm not really wanting to. So I'm just going to try and trade. If price rallies back up, can I get an opportunity to trade down? Now, just drawing a fib from that to high to low. Not quite sure if I've got that on the right low point. All right, got it in the right point now. The 62 is at 100.77. That resistance is at 100.74. There's a pivot there. So if we do spike up today, when the news comes out, that could be where, you know, price holds today. See how we rejected that area yesterday? I know we rejected the figure, but see those two candles were closing below that level. They didn't want to be above it. Then, of course, the news came out and everything got very volatile and we moved above it for a while. See how we sat on that level for a while before coming underneath and becoming resistance. So that potentially could be resistance if we got up there today, but we might not get there. Where we are at the moment, you're too close to this one level. You know, if you sell now and it gets down to one level and bounces, what you're going to do, you're going to be wrong, aren't you? So I really feel like you need to be a seller higher up if price can move back up to a higher level. Or, you know, can we get a clear break of the one level? And then does the one level become resistance? At the moment, it's being support. But over the next few trading days, as we get into next week, we may see a break of that level today after the news or after tomorrow's news with the retail sales. And then does that become resistance, you know, 2 or 3 days time? So always thinking ahead. If I'm not seeing anything great today, what can I see over the next few days that would be making sense? Slavia saying 62 fib at 100.77. Yeah, up there, fib, pivot, and resistance. That would be a good level because it showed you intraday here it was support. It broke back below the resistance. So I'd expect that to offer some resistance if it got back up there, but will it get there? See, in today's trading, while this is very choppy, we're not getting up to the central pivot point. As I mentioned about the central pivot point in a strong market, we often just get to the central pivot point, or we don't quite get there. We're not getting there. So whilst this is choppy, the sellers are keeping price down close to the one level. They're not wanting to let the buyers push it up. So I don't know whether we can push up. It's just not in a great area to be a seller just at the moment. Pound yen. Now this is rather range bound. Trying to make sense of all these lines. These levels of day support here and here keep offering support. It was offered support here. It's offered support there. It offered support on Tuesday's move down. And it's very consolidatory. Now, the pound dollar is going down, the dollar yen's going up. So what can the pound yen do? It's just fighting those two movements up and down between a level of support and resistance. So this is a key area of support or resistance that the market's been watching for many, many weeks. Put in another area of support here. I've been using that high, which is 164.64, but there's a low there that's at 164.65. So that's why I've just kept it at that level. And we've been above it today, but we're now reversing down from it. So 164.64 is still proving to be resistance on this pair. Are we simply going to be failing there for a move back down to these support levels? All right. Until we can get a clear break above that level, you have to treat it like it's resistance, and you're just trading a range up and down from resistance to support, backwards and forwards. Back to the daily moment. I mean, it is just breaking above an old top. So it has just put the day chart trend to slightly up, but resistance does trump trend. And when we moved down to support here, the trend was down, and support trumped the downtrend and held it to push it back up. So I'm not getting that excited that we're breaking above a top, because we've got this trading range that we just keep holding in. So it's that resistance there. It's starting to fail. So you need to make a decision. Do you want to trade that pair? Do you want to trade a failure as tight as you can, maybe to 164.64 for maybe a move back down to the day support levels? First day support levels at 161.85 down here. So there's ample room to make profit. You just have to pick how you'd like to get in, what's your trigger to get in. Okay. Like I was saying on the Aussie yen, it'd be great if this did pop back up for a further test and failure at 165, the figure. See how today's projected high? is calling the, stopping price. Once you've done the average range, price is stretched. If you're long into the area, 165 the figure, red pivot point, today's projected high, well, that's the level to take profit at for sure. You start to see it reverse, is it a level to trade down from? All right, these levels I'm showing you, that they're not new. I've taught you these levels already. You just have to be able to see them, start to see price reacting to them. All right, so can it come up for another retest of 165? Tomorrow, if we're down here, this price come back up to retest 164.64, hold and fail, for then a move down, back down to day support. All right, of course, you can be engaging right now if you want to. You have to make your own choice how you're going to get in and how much confirmation you need before you're sure that it's holding there for a reversal, okay? All right, pound dollar, a bit choppy, not able to get to the central pivot point today. So euro dollar and pound dollar a bit choppy. What is happening on this pair though is that a number of lines on my chart here try and make sense. Can't really see it if I go to the monthly chart because all my lines squished together. But if you go to your monthly chart with no lines, there's a monthly low here and there's a monthly low here. All right, and if I go back to my day chart, those monthly lows are these two lines here, 119.58 and 119.86, and this low here is a weekly low that we put in. So we've had three levels of support that the market's been fighting, and we've got last week's low here, and we're trading below all those levels at the moment. It's choppy on the 15, but we're underneath all those levels. We're starting to want to be below. And when the news popped up yesterday, if we go to the 15-minute chart to show you, this is last week's low, 118.76. This is weekly support that was 119.33, and that is monthly support that was at 119.58. So I actually put in the Telegram yesterday that I was looking for price to fail at 119.33 and a move back up because that was weekly resistance. You see it held there to move down, held there to move down. Then after the news, it did pop above for a while and went up to be resistance at the monthly old support level, moved back below, and then that 19.33 level became resistance once more to move below last week's low at 118.76. So you can see 118.76 now, it was resistance here, got fractionally above, fell below. Last run up though, missed it by a pip. So what we might see when the news comes out, you could be watching the figure, does price pop a little bit higher up, fail at the figure, or it may only fail at the central pivot point, or at that now broken support level here, which is last week's low. It's not getting to the central pivot point, so the sellers are in command. Few levels to watch when the news comes out. I mean, when the news comes out, depending on what it is, we could come all the way back up to 19.33, where we failed there once, twice, 3 times yesterday. So that's a level to watch if we get back up there for sure. But I won't know what price will do until the news comes out. But I mean, the trend is down, so I'm not getting any excitement about being a buyer on this. Looking for price, if you're just spending your life on a 15-minute chart and you see this moving up here to a new high on your 15-minute chart, you're going to think this is in an uptrend. But clearly, when you look at your daily chart and your weekly chart and your monthly chart, it's in a downtrend. So don't get too transfixed about what the 15-minute trends are. This is in a downtrend. So look for these upward moves to finish, and that's where you want to be selling to position yourself with your high time frame downtrend. All right. Just want to see what the euro yen's doing. All right. New Zealand yen next. Now, I'm not that excited about this pair at the moment. It's very choppy. And 83.90 is a level of, well, so we've been below it. Keep switching from support or resistance. It's a monthly top. Back over here, we're a little bit below it, then we're a little bit above it. And we've been failing up here at some resistance areas. And there's a 79% fib level from this major range. And it's just chopping around at the moment. It's a little bit, it gets below that top, then gets above that top. All right, so what I want to show you on my other charts, I'm going to cover this next Wednesday. And by the time we get to next Wednesday, something may have happened on this pair that looks a little bit more exciting. So I just want to take a few lines off here so we can see what's going on. Let's go to the monthly chart first of all. I've got some monthly resistance over here. These two lines above are for my weekly tops when we get to the weekly chart. But what I want you to see is that a monthly candle there rejected. These two monthly candles had wicks on the top, rejection. We've come up again there last month and rejected. And we've been a little bit below that top and a little bit above that top this month. But what I'm seeing is rejection up here. So what I'm looking at the moment, just monitoring, I cover this in the webinar on Wednesday, but I've got my last month's high up here. We haven't quite traded below last month's low. So we're just trading within the range of last month. So I'm just going to draw in as a candle. That's last month. That's last month's candle there. It was blue, but let's not worry about the color. In fact, as it was blue, let me make it blue so nobody can shout at me, because I normally make these candles the color that it was for the month, last month. But as I've shown you, we had a rejection at the top of the candle. So what I like to do, especially if it's had a rejection on the candle, is I expect that if we move back up within the range of that candle, we may top out inside that candle for a move down the next month. So putting a fib across that whole monthly range, what I'd like to look at is the 62% level or the 79% level of failure. All right. What I am noticing as well, these red lines show me last week's high and last week's low. I can see that we've rejected last week's high. So at the moment, I'm just wanting to monitor. If we keep getting sustained dollar yen strength, we might see a bit more upward ticking on the New Zealand yen. And then I'll be watching the 62% level of last month's candle and the 79. So we can revisit this next week in the webinar on Wednesday. I'm just watching what does price do at these levels. Because at the moment, you can see for the month, and the new month started around about here. All right. So forward from that big drop candle, we've been below that monthly top, above it, below it, above it, below it, back above it. It's just chopping around. So if we can get up to a fib level with some resistance over here as well, then I'm going to be watching 62% level, 85.34, and the 85.98 level up there. Can we get up to those high levels for then a move down with the rejection that we're seeing on that monthly candle of last month? All right, so nothing for me to do there at the moment for me personally. I am noticing, if you go to my other charts, that we are like some of the other pairs, like the pound yen's failing at the figure, the Aussie yen's failing at the figure. This is failing at the figure too. All right, so it's got overstretched beyond the range of the day. Red zone of the pivots, failed at the figure. It did that little retest that like I showed you on the Aussie yen, and it's moving down. So it might come back up for another retest and failure, or you may have already missed a boat down from that level. So leave me, yeah, the blue color on that that's the whole range for the month. So I'm just putting it on there because last month was a blue candle. So that's just representing the whole range for last month's blue candle. And then I'm drawing a fib from the high of last month's candle to the low of last month's candle. Got some more questions coming in. I'm just going to backtrack a bit. Samir, you're asking me about the pound dollar. You want to know what my criteria is for exhaustion. Well, normally it's at resistance if it's moving up, and has it met the today's projected high or low? So for example, on the news, let's go to the New Zealand yen as an example. We've already done the range for the day and beyond. So if it's done the range or beyond, and then it's moved up to resistance, and you were talking about the pound dollar, once it's got stretched and it's at resistance, to me that price is in an exhaustion phase. So then we're looking for price to turn around. Okay. Hopefully that helped you with the answer. If it didn't, just type something more in. Believe me, you asked me about blue color, so I've answered that question. Fresky, if you want to get the pivots, simply contact Nathan. I'll put his details in the chat, but if you weren't there at the time, I'll put him in the chat as well. Again, just contact Nathan. I'll put his details in the chat again. Just contact Nathan. He'll set you up with the pivots. Slav, you want to know how do you copy paste that rectangle so we can move it to a new month? If you, let me go back to those charts. If you go Control B, you can go through here. At the bottom, I've got a rectangle here. If I tick it, it highlights that box. Then if I hold my control button, left click on that box and drag, or hang on, say these little highlighted areas at the top, I need my mouse on the rectangle edge, hold my control button, left click hold, and it will start to drag a new box off. All right, so if I'm using that as my range for this month to move down, say from the 62 level, then if we do start to move down from that 62 level, and we may have already just topped because we got a little bit short of that level, maybe it doesn't want to get up to that level exactly, then if we get a copy of last month's range down, it's down here at the 81.50-ish level. All right, so hopefully you got the idea of how to copy, but you need to make sure that the rectangle is highlighted, put your mouse on the edge, hold control, and then you left click and drag. All right. All right, what else I've got in my questions? All right, Slave, you've got it. Great. Yeah, it's not that hard once you know how to do it. All right, back to my other charts. Now the New Zealand dollar, let's go to that one. It's a bit choppy. Probably the weakest pair to the US dollar at the moment. And it's moving below, it's moved below last week's low. That's that line I've got on my chart here, 61.24. And if you move to your monthly chart, next key area of support that the market might be moving down a test is this low from over here at 59.26. So it's in a clear downtrend. It's a little choppy at the moment on a 50-minute chart. Weekly's in a downtrend there. Days in a downtrend, but you can see on the daily it's just quite small trading days, very choppy. It's having, one day up, had a day up yesterday, bit of positivity from the news, but then we're back below last week's low. So it's all negative. We're just not having these very aggressive runs at the moment. Okay. Last Friday was the best level to trade at when we'd already broken below 62.04 and we came up and retested broken monthly support. Now it's just gradually moving down from that level. So what would be nice, I'm going to go with my 4-hour chart. It is a bit choppy, this pair at the moment. So I'm some of these pairs, if they're choppy, I'm just waiting for better price action. And Brian, I see your chat. I'll get back to your chat in a moment. This is very consolidatory. It is now moving below this, moving and holding below that daily chart level, 61.24 broken support. What would be nice is that this move down a bit more, away from where it's chopping, clearly moves down, you know, a good 100 pips, just gets away from where it's chopping at the moment. And then it, you know, look for it to come up to a key level of broken support. All right, because this could come back above 61.24 at the moment, and then back below, and it's just chopping around. So I'm just looking for some cleaner price action. Can we move away from that choppiness, get a clear breakdown, and then can we come back up to a level of broken support? All right. There's no guesswork about where the trend is. It's just, you know, if you're looking for an intraday opportunity, it's very choppy. You can see today, price action has rejected 61.24 here, and then it's held there. So when the news comes out today, it may come back up to 61.24 hold. You might see an opportunity to trade down from that level later in the day, but it's very choppy at the moment in the area that it's at. And we might see some choppy price action. We're getting almost into August, which is the summer period for the Northern Hemisphere. So some of this choppy price action may just be because of the general holiday season a little bit on some of these pairs. Ultimately, whatever price is delivering to us, that's what we have to try and trade or not. You don't have to trade if it's choppy. You know, if it's not as clean as you like, you don't have to trade. You can wait for better price action. Of course, it would have been nice to catch some of those moves upwards today on those yen crosses. But if you didn't get on those, then of course you've missed out. All right, dollar Canadian. Brian, I will get to your question in a moment. Let me just cover the dollar yen. Sorry, the dollar Canadian. Now, yesterday we actually got a surprise in the market. The interest rate rise wasn't 75 base points, it was 100 base points. So first of all, that was the US news. And then this drop down here was when they put interest rates up by 1%. But now we've actually come up and we're testing that weekly level of resistance. So I'm guessing, even though we've risen interest rates by 1% on the Canadian side, this is going to move through that level with the US dollar strength. It's just a question of time, I'm guessing. I think on this weekly chart, we're putting in a higher bottom here, and ultimately we're going to break through here because that interest rate rise was positive for the Canadian side, yet we're up there testing those highs. So I think we're going to move through that level over time. So what I'll be watching, I don't want to trade into that level. Of course, we could see a failure at this level, so you can watch for that. But I think with the weekly trend clearly up, and it's starting to dismiss yesterday's very positive Canadian interest rate decision, then this is going to move through. Okay. So what I will be looking for over the next few trading days is if we move through, then look for 130.76 to be then support on a pullback to look to structure trade around. Now, over the next few days, if we start to hold here, then maybe we're still consolidating between 130.76 and 129.63. So you can watch after the news today. What do we do at 136.76? Do we start to hold and fail? This may well just trade back down to 129.63. Of course, we got support there yesterday, late in the day. We could fail here and just simply move back down to support. But I think it's just looking rather bullish on that weekly chart. I think eventually it's going to move through. So then look at that level to be support on a pullback over the next few trading days. All right, got some more questions now to look at. Brian, you're asking me if price is to pull back in a monthly range, it's up to the 68 level or the 62.8 level. So you're going to cover that next Wednesday. But yeah, if I go back to my New Zealand yen pair that I was showing you that idea, what I'd like to look for is price on the weekly chart. Well, sorry, price when we reference to the weekly candle. So this week, we will often pull back inside last week's candle to the 62% level or the 79% level of that range. And within a month, so this is last month's candle where we rejected up here. we will often pull back inside that monthly candle to the 62% level, 62.8 level, or the 79% level. So what I'm doing here is monitoring to see if price can come up to one of those fib levels of last month's trading range, fail, and then can I start to see price structure me an opportunity to get in and trade down. Okay, and I'll go through that in its entirety on Wednesday. I've got loads of charts that you can take away and study. So hopefully that answered your question. So it's not just the six, it's not that, well, you put 68 level, it's the 62 point level, the 79% level that I like to look at. And what I also like to look at when I'm looking at these levels, I'd like to see that we've got structure to the left. I've got structure there to the left at the 62 level. There's not a lot of structure at the 79. There's a little bit over here, but there's more structure here at the 62. So I just watch to see what happens at those levels, with anticipation that price is going to fail at those levels to move down or up, depending on how I'm looking at the candle. Slav, let me read your question. All right, Brian, you got it. So that webinar is next Wednesday if you want to see it in its entirety. Slav, just let me read your question. So Slav, your question is, let's say you take a trade with 2 lots and then you're not sure whether to close it or leave it open. So you want to leave 1 lot open and you want to diversify the trade and then use the other lot somewhere else. Is there a way to split a trade into 2 parts? Well, what you can do, if I can remember, I just take a trade on, so I'll just take a trade on anything. This euro yen. Let's say, for example, I was to buy 2 lots on the euro yen. This is a demo account, so it's not real money that I'm trading, so we don't need to worry about anything. So I'm just going to buy 2 lots. All right. Then if you go to, let's say I'm in profit now and I'm asking myself, is this going to go up any further? I might want to get rid of 1 lot, so then I can use that margin and profit to fund another trade. Come up to the terminal. I have to remember how you do it, but all right, I'm going to go to close order. This is why it's always good to do it in a demo account. So if you mess it up, it doesn't matter. All right, that's simply close the order. So let me reopen the trade again. All right, so what I did there was I'm right-clicking on the line, modifying. I think I know. So Slav, I think the way to do it is I'm currently long 2 lots, right? If I want to, I can simply sell 1 lot and that will close 1 down. I'm pretty sure that's the way to do it. All right, so let me sell 1 lot. I'm going to come up here and make that 1. I'm going to sell 1. So at the moment in this position, I've got 2.00. I'm going to sell 1. All right, so that clearly hasn't done it. All that's done is hedged it. So what I would do then, if you want to do that, I'm pretty sure there is a way where you can close half the position, but it's escaping me. But if you want to do that, simply set 2 trades up. So you take 2 positions, 1 lot size each. So what will happen is you create a buy, you do another buy, and then you've got 2 positions. and then you can close one and you still have one open. That's the easiest way. I'm pretty sure there is a way where you can do it. Cameron, you're saying you just adjust the lot size, what once the trade's open. And Leaf me saying you think it's partial closure to be done on the buy sell click button by adjusting the lot size. Well, I did that, but I did that up here, and all that did was hedge the position. So I'd need to practice it some more. But Slav, what I do, just speak to Nathan. He'll be able to tell you how to do it, or somebody on the desk will be able to how to do it. Samir, you're saying double click the profit button. All right, so here's the profit area here. All right, so let's see if I can close half of this by simply making the volume 0.5. And then I'm going to close that. All right, that's the way you do it. Well done, Samir, you got it. So over here, you double click there. Then you, in the volume window, you specify what volume you want to close. So let's say I want to halve my volume once more. Now it's I'm gonna get rid of 0.25, and you close that. And now I've got half of my position. All right, so that's the way you do it. Somebody new, you double click your profit over here, and then you can adjust it. You got it? Or you can do, as I said before, you could open 2 positions and then simply close one. But I knew there was a way of doing it, but I don't do it. So, you know, when you're not doing it, but that just proves the point. Don't practice it in a live account, because if you don't know what you're doing, it's very easy to make a mistake, because it took about 6 attempts to work out how to do it. All right, let's close that down. But if you've got any questions about some of the more clever ways of doing things in the platform, just contact your account manager at the office. They'll be able to work out all the functionality for you. All right, I'm just going to go through my chat to make sure I've missed any of the questions. All right, I don't think I've missed any questions. If I have, just type it in now at the end of my list of things in the chat, and then I don't miss it for you. Whilst I'm waiting for that, let's just see what's going on. I see the Euro-Yen's popping back above that 139.38 day resistance. As I was saying, this might be an area where price retests and then pops back below and fails. You just have to monitor to see what's going on. You know, that's very strong at the moment, the Euro-Yen. As I was saying, I'd much prefer to be waiting till tomorrow and see where it finishes today. Aussie Yen, still well below that 9,400 level. It's not coming up really for a good retest. So that's why the Euro Yen's going up. The Euro dollar is just popping up to the central pivot point or close to, but it's still, you know, it's just coming up to the central pivot point, but doesn't have a lot of legs. It's just drifting around. Likes the Euro dollar and the pound dollar at the moment. I think they're waiting for the US news at 10:30. You know, this is just coming, pound dollar is just coming up to another touch of that day resistance level. It's just range bound. All right, now questions are coming in. So just to give you an update before I leave you, I've given you some levels to watch over the next 24, 48 hours, or the levels I'm watching. Be interesting to see if that dollar yen strength continues and the other yen crosses continue in the same vein, or can they hold at their resistance levels that they're starting to meet. Coming up next week, just to give you a heads up, next Tuesday, more Forex market analysis. We'll see where the market's been moving since today and tomorrow and Monday. So I've touched base on this today. So I'm going to go through this whole position trading using the monthly and weekly trading ranges. Got lots of chart examples that you can study for that. And you can get my charts so that you can get my high and low indicator and start to look at that perspective from a weekly perspective and a monthly perspective once you know what you're doing. That's next Wednesday, and a more live market analysis on Thursday. All right, so that's what's coming up. If you want to join me, simply come over to the webinar page and register your interest, and then I'll see you. Or any final questions before I leave you? Be aware, it's very volatile with the news at the moment, especially the US news. We've got the US PPI data coming out at 10:30 p.m. So the likes of the euro dollar and the pound dollar will be rather choppy and range bound before then. It was highly volatile last night after the US news, so I expect the same. If you like to trade the Aussie pairs, we've got China news coming out tomorrow at noon. Probably be volatile after that. We've got more US news tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. core retail sales and retail sales coming out. Okay, everybody. All right, if you're on the YouTube live stream, I couldn't see the chat, so if you had some questions, sorry I couldn't answer them, but you're more than welcome to join us in the webinar. But thanks for watching if you're on there. Everybody else, thanks for turning up. It's always appreciated. So stay safe, have a great weekend, and look forward to seeing you next week.